Welcome to another episode of Everyday Witchcraft. We have returning guest, Phoenix LeNoir, and tonight we're going to discuss Valentine's Day, fun facts, recipes, magic for the special occasion. So, no further ado, let's welcome Phoenix. LeNoir. Phoenix, how are you doing?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing today,
I'm
Atalanta?
doing really good. I'm excited about this episode because we're going to be talking a little bit about Valentine's Day, where it came from, things
Yes.
associated with it. We have all kinds of fun facts that we're going to explore. So, anyway, what does Valentine's Day mean to you, Phoenix?
I have always celebrated Valentine's Day with my children or my grandchildren. We always just do something fun and just I'd use it to represent just the love that we have for each other.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay, did you know that children get the most Valentines every year out of everybody?
No, I
Children do.
did not.
You would think it
That
would be women, but it's children.
oh,
Teachers
that's
coming
really
second in
interesting.
line. Teachers. So,
Oh, I wonder if that's just because at school they do the box that like we would do the Valentine's Day bag or box, and everybody
hmm
would go around and fill them out and put them in there. And
Yep.
honestly, I had found out that the first Valentine's Day card was 1415. It was from a man to his wife. She was actually locked up in the Tower of London.
Oh, wow.
And people used to send handwritten notes, and that was Valentine's. And then uh, the cards didn't really come in production until around the 1900s.
So
Other
that's
than
when
that,
it
people
got
were making
popular.
them
Was it here or over in Europe or how did that come about? Do you know?
over. He was the Duke of Orleans, and he sent it to his wife. She was in the Tower of London. It didn't really say where
Was
uh
established?
that was established, but that the handwritten it was all basically handwritten cards until they started being mass produced in the 1900s.
That's pretty cool.
Wow,
Well, I
that's cool.
celebrate Valentine's Day with my family as well.
Nice.
Of course, my kids are older, but I do have a grandson, so I like to get him something. But yeah, Valentine's Day to me is mostly just the people that are the closest to me. So we don't
Yes.
really do a whole lot special, but we get like little prizes and little gifts and things like that. So.
Oh, how fun. That is very nice. I love it. We do a lot of cooking, so that's my forte. So
Mhm.
we do like lava cakes and that kind of stuff. So
I'll be coming to your house. That's so cute. Okay, so another thing that I found out is the little candy hearts, the little with the notes on them and stuff.
oh yeah.
Yeah, like the I love yous or kiss me and things like that. Okay, so those came about because a doctor was making throat lozenges. So the first little candy hearts, they weren't hearts, but it inspired him with the lozengers, the machine he created. It inspired him to make candy, and so it was little wafers and it had sayings on it that were more, Christian and biblical sayings and stuff like that. And then later on, that company was sold to another company. And this was like in 2019 that happened. And they shut everything down for a year so that you couldn't get candy hearts for like a year. And then it was reopened because they wanted to make sure the quality was good. It was reopened and then they came about with the little candy hearts and continued the tradition of what the previous person did, the little notes and
Oh,
stuff. So
that is
yeah, in
amazing.
2019, you couldn't even get them.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
What
They were
kind of,
off the shelves.
yeah, they were off the shelves. What kind of food do you make besides the lava cakes and stuff like that?
It depends. I like stuff that's kind of pink or red inspired. So like we'll do a pasta with like a tomato cream sauce. We do chocolate covered strawberries. That's always a fun one to make. We do a nice salad. I like to include like pomegranate seeds on it because of the color, the crunch, the flavor, and they bring prosperity as well, and good fortune. What else do we do?
The
We like
pomegranates
seafood
do?
around.
The pomegranates bring
Hmm.
good fortune?
Hmm.
Okay.
Because they're so plentiful. Like when you open it up, there's so many seeds. It's so plentiful.
Hmm.
What else do we like? We do pasta. We do like seafood, so generally shrimp. Before I had lots of kids to feed, we would do a lot. I would do a lot stuffed lobster for us as well. But now I got too many little
Wow.
mouths to feed, and that's a little too expensive.
Yeah,
So
just
we
cut it
do a
up
lot of
real small.
shrimp or mussels. They like mussels, so we'll do those. Just something a little fancier than our normal everyday dinner and dessert.
What is your most memorable Valentine that you got? Or gift? Valentine or gift or both?
Um, Most memorable gift. That would probably be my first gift from my now 27-year-old. And it was, they gave us a little poem with a little saying on it, and they had glued different little things to it to go with the poem that was super sweet. And then he got me Ferrero Rochers, and those are my favorite chocolates.
Yeah. I'm all
The little
about the chocolate
hazelnut
too.
balls. But that is one of my favorite because I think just because it was from my child, and I've never really celebrated Valentine's Day relationship wise. I
Hmm.
usually just do it with my kids.
That's sweet. That's sweet. I think mine is a person that I was dating was lived way far away from me. And he took me on a tour of his city, like to the park, to some um buildings that had been there for a long, been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we were on video and he walked around, explaining, what building was what and things like that. So it was beautiful.
Oh, I like that.
It was very pretty.
That's so sweet.
So
Oh,
I'm gonna get out a couple more facts. Oh, I know. Cupid. You know who Cupid is the little chubby boy with the wings and he throws the bow and arrow.
mhm.
So that came about because there was a Greek god, I think it's pronounced Eros, and he was beautiful. He had the long hair and he had the body and he had the face. He was just beautiful. And he had golden arrows and he would shoot them at people and it would make them fall in love. And then later, the Romans turned it into a little chubby boy with a little bow and arrow and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about Valentine's Day that I didn't realize. I just thought it was something made up for people in love and that kind of thing. But didn't you find out a little interesting thing about how it got
Yes,
started?
I was doing some research about Valentine's Day and its relationship to paganism. So there was a pagan holiday celebrated in mid-February called Lupercalia. I hope I pronounced that properly. And it was the people would meet. There were two groups of priests that would meet in a cave, and they would sacrifice two goats and a dog. The goats were supposed to represent Romulus and Remus, and the she wolf was the represented by the dog. So after they sacrificed these goats and this dog, they would make whips from their hide, and the men would strip and run through the town, playfully whipping young women, each other, and it was supposed to bring good luck and fertility.
I love it.
So I found that very interesting. And then after they sacrificed two priests, one from each of the groups of priests, would meet and they would put the goat's blood, the sacrificial blood on their heads, and then they would rinse it off with the goat's milk, which I believe is probably how we get the red and the white and the pink to represent Valentine's Day.
That's so
Let
cool.
Yes,
That's
I
very
thought that
interesting.
was really interesting. And not all cultures celebrate Valentine's Day. It's still not practiced in Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, or Malaysia because it contradicts their religious beliefs,
Mm.
which I
Well,
thought
in
that was pretty.
Japan, do you know how they like, can you guess how they would celebrate in Japan?
Oh my goodness. Definitely
They
a
do.
big feast.
Definitely a big feast. The women actually write special letters and notes to their guys. And notice I said guys, and they buy chocolates for their guys. Now, you can tell the most favored man is by the quality of chocolate that the women would buy. So in other words, you had multiple men and you would
Yes.
buy them each chocolates, and they would know where they stand in her life according to the quality of chocolate. And this is still practice. And then a month later, the guys do the same thing. So
Oh,
it's, yeah, it was pretty cool too.
that is interesting.
Mhm.
Very
So yeah,
interesting. I
very.
also found out some stuff about Saint Valentine's. There's
Mm.
over 10,000 saints. Only two of them, though, that we found names were Valentine. They were both said to have died on February the 14th, which is why I think it's probably the same person that they're talking about. The first was arrested during the Roman crucifixions, and he was put on house arrest and asked to prove the power of God. And when he did so, he was executed.
That's not funny.
And that's pretty much the same story with the other Saint Valentine as well. He was asked to, prove, and when he did, he was executed. So that's why they think it's probably the same person.
Oh, wow.
I thought
I
that was
also
interesting.
read another Valentine was in prison, and he wrote a love letter to the jailer's daughter. So yeah,
Oh,
that one was a sneaky one. I found that just by chance, because that story is really not popular, but I thought it was pretty funny
right.
because yeah, the prisoner, I think he probably stayed in prison a little longer
A
for
little bit
doing it.
longer than than normal.
A little bit normal. So, as
So,
far as in America, let's see, 920 to 930 billion is spent on Valentine's Day dollars
Wow.
in the
Wow.
United States. Yeah. Just on Valentine's Day cards and and gifts and stuff like that. It's the second biggest holiday next to Christmas for gifts.
Oh.
Hmm. Another one is the XOXO.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that comes from when they used to sign letters, to their loved ones. They would put an XO on it because it represented the Christian's cross. And then
Oh.
later, yeah, and it was like kind of putting your seal and blessing
Mm-hmm.
somebody. So they would sign it, put the X and the O, and that represented the Christian's cross. So,
And then we turned it into hugs and kisses.
and we turned it into hugs and kisses. Yep. Because we have to change
Interesting.
everything.
Yeah.
But also, as far as roses, you know how everybody gets roses? Everybody gets roses, different color roses. They all have like a special meaning. Purple, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is royalty. Red is love. White is like purity and
Mm-hmm.
innocence. And okay, so roses, a huge deal for Valentine's Day. We actually import roses from countries like Mexico and places like that because we can't keep up with the supply. We have too much cold weather and
Yeah.
stuff to be able to produce those roses that time of the year. So yeah, I mean, we pretty much all of the roses that we sell are from other countries. We don't even grow them here. But
Oh, that is.
here in the United States, we have a special Valentine Day that's called Galentine Day. And it's for women celebrating women. It's on the same day, but it's
Oh.
women celebrating women. And it's for the single people out there. So they're not kept left out. So yeah, and it doesn't actually have to be, it's for women, people appreciating women in general. So, single men can still buy single women, gifts and flowers, but
Yeah.
most of it is women appreciating other women and their success.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
So we
That will be
actually
so.
have a couple little facts there that we wanted to share with everybody. And
Yeah.
oh, okay. Pork Alone Day is another way. International Pork Alone Day is another name for the Valentine. So Pork Alone Day. That's also for singles as well. That's for singles as well.
Ah.
And in Italy, I did my research here. In Italy, everywhere in the country sends, Romeo and Juliet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so everyone writes letters to Juliet and it gets sent to the Juliet Castle. And then there's volunteers and we're talking millions of letters, okay? And then there's volunteers that read the letters and they answer each one and send one back.
Wow.
I think we should do something like that here.
I
I think that
think
would be
that would
fun.
be pretty fun to do. Yes.
Okay, so we did
Oh,
some fun facts and actually found out some pretty interesting things about Valentine's Day. We wanted to share that with you. So now we're going to talk a little bit about like something special food wise or drink wise, and then maybe do a little bit of magic too. We have
awesome.
our kitchen witch. What would you
Yeah.
suggest would be the meal to prepare and maybe a dessert, or if you have a drink, a special wine, anything like that. So what would the kitchen witch do?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna set the mood and get my like tablecloth out, get my music, my candles going, and then for more of an adult meal, if you like seafood and you're not allergic, oysters, because they're supposed to be an aphrodisiac, so that's always something fun to have. I like doing individual little like pick up and eat type things if you can. So like stuffed mushrooms or some type of a stuffed tartlet or pastry. I'd put out some flowers, get my roses going. Also, maybe if you do a diffuser, things like rose, I like lang lang. And actually, if you mix rose and black pepper essential oil together, wonderful smell. Wonderful, wonderful. I also like some of my musky things for that as well. Uh, Things with honey. I like to, maybe add honey to if we're doing a glaze or a sauce to sweeten something up. Or maybe if you even make like baklava, you could use like the honey in there. I like to do like for desserts, like I mentioned earlier, like stuffed strawberries or stuffed strawberries. Well, yeah, you can stuff those too. If you pop off the top for your strawberry, you can whip in some mascarpone if you want to maybe sweeten it up a little bit. And those are a really nice little bite just to have, like chocolate covered strawberries. Chocolate's a big thing, like we said. So lava cakes, brownies, even like a nice, yummy, indulgent, thick chocolate ice cream is great. And
Is there a
I always have
recipe
to
that
have,
you want to share? Is there some kind of a recipe you want to share, like something that's unique and quick, like maybe even the strawberries, just something that
I
our
do
viewers can do?
a wine that you can share with your person. So take like 2 cups of wine. I warm it up to infuse the flavors. You don't
Mhm.
want to like bring it to a boil. But wine, I'll add a cinnamon stick. I add a couple of cloves, and I will add strawberries to that and let those infuse. And then I will strain that, let it cool, and then you share that with your person that you're having dinner with. That's a
That
really
sounds
quick, easy one. The stuffed strawberries, actually, I core those out, and if you want to, you can soak them. like in schnapps or something, if you wanted to soak them in peach schnapps, and then just sweeten up my mascarpone with either powdered sugar, or if you want to go with honey, that's a good one because we're sweetening up the deal. And then I just put it in like a quart size Ziploc bag, cut the corner off, and fill the cavity of the strawberry with that. And either you can dip it in like graham cracker crumbs or nuts if you're not allergic to nuts. And that's a nice little sweet treat to have.
I
Pretty
think I'm
easy
going
to
to make
make.
that. I think I'll make that this year. So I have a question.
Yes.
It's probably a silly one, but did you say mascarpone? What is that?
Instead of, it's like the Italian version of cream cheese.
Okay.
Usually comes in a little tub. It's softer. Usually you still have to kind of let it come to room temperature, but it's a little more rich than our cream cheese is, but you could also use cream cheese as well. And you might have to thin out the cream cheese with just a little bit of milk or a little bit of cream to
Okay.
thin it out so that you can pipe it a little easier.
Okay. That
But
that sounds good. What about herbs? Are there any herbs associated with love or that you could associate with Valentine's Day?
basil's definitely a big one that's associated with love. Rose. Um, I like to put in like some other warming things. So, um,
What about
cinnamon.
cinnamon?
I always think
We
of
said that at the same
cinnamon.
time.
That's a great one. And there are so many different types of cinnamon. You've got true cinnamon, false cinnamon, but like we have a spice store here, and I've got turned on to Vietnamese cinnamon, and it is amazing. Just the
Really?
flavor on it is so much. Yes, it's a great thing. But I said basil. We've covered cinnamon. I I I associate nutmeg with love as well. I don't know if it's just because I associate cinnamon and nutmeg and all of those common spices together. So I like to kind of use all of those. And definitely, like I said, honey, because like you use that to sweeten the pot, to sweeten the deal. It's also kind of sticky,
Mhm.
so it can help things stick a little bit more when I would associate it with some love things. Um, but right off the top of my head, those would be it would be basil and cinnamon would be my big things there.
What
And
about
definitely rose.
you mentioned there's different cinnamon? So cinnamon is just not
Yeah, like you've
cinnamon.
got true cinnamon, what they call true cinnamon, and then like false cinnamon. The true cinnamon, I believe, is called cell. It starts with a C, and I never CE. Is it CEYLON? Cellulon. But it is. It's not as hard as most of the cinnamon sticks that we get and come across.
Okay.
So, like the cinnamon sticks you find at the craft store,
Mhm.
those aren't true cinnamon. But this one, it's a finer, flakier roll of cinnamon. I'll have to pull some out and show you the difference between the two.
Yeah,
But
definitely. I
they
didn't know
both
that.
taste generally the same. I think the true cinnamon is a little sweeter,
Okay.
not as not as like spicy as the other cinnamon.
Mhm.
Even though cinnamon is sweet, if you know what I mean. I think that one's a little just has a sweeter essence to it than the cinnamon we normally get.
I think we could maybe make tea to drink, like morning
Oh yes,
tea or
I
evening
do.
tea.
I like a tea with. I will take a rose petals, usually red, and I'll do rose hips, and I will throw a little smidge of cinnamon in there and kind of sip on that for a little love vibe energy. And you could also, if you wanted to charge some water, you could either tape it to it or actually put put rose quartz inside with your water and let that charge. You can either charge it by moonlight or just let it charge in the sun, but you want it to be a polished stone as well, because there's something about rough stones and not using those for to charge the water, unless, like I said, you tape it to the outside of like the glass
Oh, wow. I didn't
container.
know that. So
Hmm.
whenever you're charging, is this for any water or is it just for Valentine's Day? Whenever you're
Oh, for
charging
any.
water, like when you make your moon water.
Yeah, like sometimes I'll add different stones to it depending upon what spell I'm using it for. So say if it's a money spell, I'll maybe put aventurine in there.
All right. Okay.
Or like I love malachite, just
Hmm.
that's like one of my favorite stones. But you're not supposed to, it's poisonous apparently. Like
Oh,
and it's in its rough state, and you're not supposed to, technically put that in water and charge your water with that energy, but you can place it on the outside of the glass jar, or even
okay.
sit the jar on top of the stones and let them charge that way and still get their energy and their vibe in there.
With
But you can do
all,
amethyst,
okay.
you can do quartz. Um, yeah, there's several different ones. We can definitely do a class on that one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So they all, any stone that you put when you're charging, this is not just for Valentine's, but anytime you're charging water, does it always have to be a polished stone? Is that
It's
all the time?
from what I have read, it's supposed to be polished. I don't know if that kind
Mhm.
of seals it up a little bit or makes it so that you don't leach certain things out into the water. But there's definitely some stones that you don't want to physically put in the water because they are poisonous in nature.
Or they melt like selenite.
Yeah. And
Selenite
there's
melts.
some stuff, yeah, you just can't put in water, period, because it'll turn to mush.
I found out something, and it came to my head just now. Selenite, technically, I don't know how true this is, but I have read it in a couple different places. But you can trust everything on the internet, right? But I read that selenite doesn't actually melt; it sweats.
Oh.
Yeah, it sweats. But like I said, I don't know that for a fact, but I believe that it's true. I mean, I went to some resources that were, reputable, but I don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll have to
So
I'll have to ask. I have a friend that does some lapidary work. I'll have to ask them about they know about that.
yeah, that would be such a good. We need to do a
Mhm.
crystal class for sure,
Yes, yes, yes.
and stone class.
Oh yeah.
Well, what about passion flower? Can you make a
Passion
tea with
flower.
passion flower?
Yes, you can. Then I like passion flower. You can definitely add that into a tea form. It's I bought a vine here this spring and it didn't produce any flowers. I think I bought it too late into the season. So hopefully I'm wintering it over inside. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have some passion flowers. But yes, you can do teas with those. You can make a tincture with passion flower. Um, and passion fruits, it's a great little fruit to have if you can. What else? We like to do like I like to make myself a nice like lovey bath. So I'll do like a milk bath and float some rose petals in there. I'll get my chunk of rose quartz and bring that in the bathroom with me, light my candles, get my incense going, and just get in there and slide in and relax and take in those lovey vibes from that rose quartz there. Also, like I'll add maybe jasmine flowers to it, or even a little bit of jasmine oil to make it smell good there too,
I
and to
was
bring in that
thinking
energy of love.
that makes sense, and I was thinking you could add goat's milk to your bath
Yes.
because of
Hmm.
where it came from the festival
From the
celebration, and
festival.
they sacrificed the goats. So you can do that.
Yes, and you can, if you look, you can find powdered goat's milk.
Oh, I didn't know
It's
that. Okay.
available. Uh-huh. I think you have to refrigerate it after you open it. When I switched over, I nursed my kids, and then when I switched over, before I gave them any type of cow's milk, I did goat's milk because it's closer to breast milk. So
Oh,
I had a
wow.
fight with my pediatrician about it, but I still did. I still, I still did it.
And they
And he
turned
does
out
it.
beautifully.
Yes. So yeah, that would be great to actually use the goat's milk. I didn't even think of that when in the milk bath, but yeah, that'd be perfect because it's representative of the holiday.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm. Throughout the year, you might come across somebody that's a little bit cranky or just plain mean, and you want to sweeten them up a little bit, so you do the little sweet spell. Don't you think maybe it would be a really good idea that around Valentine's Day, you make that little combination like of the honey and the sugar and the roses and stuff like that, and infuse it with whatever moon is out on Valentine's Day, and then save it so throughout the year when you encounter one of these people, you can sweeten them up with something from Valentine's Day.
oh, that I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just kind of
yeah,
thought about that recently, and I thought, I think that's what I'm going to do this year because
yeah.
I know 2022, I had a few grumpy people that I came across. I would have loved to sweeten them up a little bit. So,
Oh yes, definitely. I make a that because that sounds kind of similar to the like witch's honey that I make and I use year round. But that would be great to make it on Valentine's and make it for that specific intent. That would be perfect. Oh,
what do you
Gree
think?
bags.
Oh, yeah.
Um, you can make one to attract love and where women or wear theirs in their usually in their bra. Men usually flip them inside their pants or wear them in their pocket, but you can pick all your different herbs that represent. And I would of course use
I like
pink
that a lot.
and
I
that's
have
the
a little spell that
oh
people can do, and it's super easy. You don't need a whole lot of stuff, but it's to bring your true love. Because let's talk about love spells real quick, okay? Just real quick. How do you feel about a love spell, like casting a love spell on someone?
I don't think you should force anyone's will. Like I wouldn't specifically like say I'm doing this love spell because I want Bob to fall in love with me.
Mhm.
Because if you might get what you want for maybe a longer than you intend, or not as long as you want. It might be a
Yep.
little more of a crazy relationship than you're wanting.
And
But
somebody
you don't,
obsessed with you, and
yeah,
exactly.
don't do anything against anyone's will. But I think, like you said, you can do like a come to me spell or make
Mhm.
yourself more attractive, like those type of spells, or like maybe even a spell to say, hey, maybe make this person notice me,
Mhm.
but it doesn't affect their will of making them fall in love with you.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, this little spell, first I have an oil. Now, the oil is not required to do the spell. However,
Okay.
if you make the oil to bless and dress the candle, it adds a little bit more energy into it. What you do is you take essential oils. You get rose, you get passion flower, and you get a hoodoo Adam and Eve mixture, oil, and you blend that together and let it set for about a month or so. So you want to kind of start doing it at least right now if you're going to do this. So it sets,
Mhm.
for Valentine's Day, and it just infuses with each other. And like I said, it's not required for the spell because you can just use like olive oil or almond oil to dress
Mhm.
your candle. However, if you add it, it does add energy. But you take a pink candle, a white plate, some sugar, and you know how you can light the candle, melt it a little bit, and stand it up? Okay,
Mhm.
so you do that, and then you're sprinkling the sugar clockwise around the candle. And the spell is something like, oh, and you take salt, okay, a little bit of salt, and you throw the salt to the side, and then you sprinkle the sugar. I can't forget that because it's important. Then you sprinkle the sugar around the candle, and you say, salt is bitter, sugar is sweet. Please bring my true love to me. And that's it. And you say it 3 times, so mote it be. And you let the candle burn down. And like I said, try to use a chime candle because it burns for about an hour. And then you feed the spell throughout that hour by adding more sugar around the little candle. And of course, you put your energy into it and you focus. And like I said, feed the spell, feed the spell after it's through. And hopefully, the candle has burned straight down. I don't know if you practice candle magic, but whenever your
Mhm.
candle burns and it burns straight down to like nothing, that is a really good sign. Okay, so that means your spell is really working. Go ahead and get your heart up
Mhm.
because that true love is going to be coming to you. However, if the candle kind of drips to the side and kind of goes everywhere and it's a must, well, it doesn't look like it's going to be a very good year for love. So, mhm,
Ah,
super easy to do and lots of fun. Hmm.
easy.
What about you?
My-
Is there some kind of a spell that you know of that you could maybe do, maybe for self love?
Um, for self-love by far, it is just that whole self-care,
Hmm.
like doing the bath routine. Um, I did find a spell with Adam and Eve root, and I can't remember if it was just for, I think it was to draw love,
Okay.
and you took the different portions because, you've got the Eve portion and the Adam portion, and you anoint them in oil. And I can't remember what we put in there. You put some herb inside. I think it was basil that they used, crumbled up inside, and they pushed the two together, and then they like sealed it up with wax and tied it up. And it was a husband and wife, and they gave them to each other for
Oh, that's so
their
sweet.
for their commitment, for their, for being in love with each other, to like
Hmm.
solidify their fidelity, I think is how they put it. But it was super cute. I was like, oh, I forgot all about the Adam and Eve fruit.
Hmm.
But yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
put them together and then seal it up with wax so that whatever herb you put in there doesn't fall out, because sometimes there's a hole on the other side. And tie them up, and they tied them in red string, did a cute little knots, and did some. I think they did some knot magic with it, and then they gave those to each other, which I thought that was a
Yeah,
cute
that's a
little kind
super
of
cute
stuff
idea.
to do for each other.
And you can't, or you can, but you shouldn't cast against someone's will or cast on somebody if they don't know about it as far as love. But you can do a spell that brings you close together, that sweetens up your relationship. If you've got a little bit of a rocky relationship right now, it's the perfect time of year, with the other person's
Mhm.
permission, of course, to do something special that brings you together. And what you just described would probably be really good for that. So,
Yeah, I think that would be a great if you've got that partner to do that with. That it just
mhm,
makes it a little stronger.
absolutely. Might save a couple relationships out there, just saying. But you can also take little worry dolls. I people that are familiar with me with throwing bones, I use worry dolls to represent the queer and other people and etc. So you can take worry dolls and get and this is like I said, you don't cast it on somebody. This is for
Mhm.
those that are in a relationship already and they want to sweeten the relationship and become closer. Okay, so you get the little worry dolls and you put them together. It's just so easy. You put them in, the little I think it said Gardanza bags. They sell it like the dollar
Oh
store and
yeah,
stuff
the
like that.
little.
They're kind of,
Mhm.
yeah, they're sort of a little bit silky and see-through. You put them in
Yeah.
there, add some roses, add some cinnamon, anything else, passion flower, anything else that you can think of, and maybe the Adam and Eve root, put it in the little bag and sleep with it under your pillow.
Oh,
So it's another little easy thing.
yeah.
What about divination? Okay, so I know that you practice divination
Mhm.
and I do as well. What about divination? Do you get a lot of questions about love this time of the year? I know I do.
Always, always, always. That's the main. Will I find my true love this year? What does relationship for this year look like? Will
Mhm.
I have a relationship this year? So you get a lot of that. I also get a lot of, they want to know like if I can tell them how long it's going to last,
Mm-hmm. Or they're going to
or
get married.
if they're going to get married. Will he propose this year? We get that a lot.
Yeah, and that's actually, you think it's a cliche or whatever, but Valentine's Day is actually the day that people get, proposed to. They get engaged. I mean, like I said, I know
Mhm.
it sounds cliche, but it is what it
It
is.
is, yeah. You see the look in restaurants when people are like, "Oh, look, they're getting married over, they're
Hmm.
getting
All the time.
engaged over there," and it
All
is
the time.
usually it's Valentine's Day, and
It's that time of the
you'll
year.
see it. I've seen it
It's
happen.
romantic. Absolutely. Can you think of
Yeah.
anything else that we could do for Valentine's Day? What about just making a traditional Valentine? Just hand making it yourself.
Yeah, creating one by your like hand, and that's definitely, because then you can incorporate different, if you use like inks and writing inks, you can use those. You could add essential oils to your inks as well for the
Mhm.
scent. So you could probably put couple drops of rose oil in your ink to, or scent up your paper that you're, writing it on. If you can use handmade paper, that'd be great. But yeah, just making your own, because you can add different herbs or different things to the paper if you're even making the paper yourself.
I have one of those little ink wells, with the special pen, calligraphy
Yes.
pen. I think that's what it's
Yes.
called. I have one of those, and I use the handmade paper, and that's what I use in my book of shadows. And then the little wax seals that you put on, the little stamp with the wax, and then you stamp it,
Yeah.
kind of like from back in the Romeo and Juliet days.
Oh
So I
yes.
have one of those sets too. So this time of the year, I like to be a little bit creative and come up with nothing, long or anything like that, but make little Valentines for, like I said, my grandson, my children, my
Yes.
mother and my father, and stepmother, everybody. And you just kind of hand make something. I like to do that.
Handmade stuff is definitely more meaningful because you took your time and you put your energy into it, and it's one of a kind, so nobody else will ever get in and get the exact same thing. So it's perfect. I love that idea. I'll be doing
Absolutely.
that.
I'll be doing that. I just thought of something else too. We were talking about like what's the best or the most interesting Valentine's Day or Valentine's present that you've received. I know I mentioned that other one, but I forgot about this one. It's pretty cool too. On Valentine's Day, the guy that I was dating but was really mad at, really,
Mhm.
really mad at, got he got to the radio station that he knew that I listened to, and he sung a song. He doesn't have a good voice. He sung a song on the radio and dedicated it to me.
Oh,
Hmm.
no, that's sweet.
And then all day long, he was really, really good friends with the radio, I guess DJ back then. All throughout the day, the DJ would say something to me from him. You need to forgive me. I completely forgot about that. That was so long ago, but it was pretty funny.
Oh, that's great. There
Thought
was
I'd
the
share.
time that my friend and I unknowingly went out for Valentine's Day. Like we didn't even realize it was Valentine's Day. They were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Nothing." He's like, "You want to go grab some food?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And we were walking the restaurant, and I'm like, "Why are there so many people here?" And then we were like, "It's Valentine's Day." After we start looking around and seeing all the couples with their flowers and stuff, and we're like, "We're not together."
Yeah, but no, no, no. See, you should have taken advantage of that because what you could have done, we just got engaged. We went to free cake and champagne. You messed up. You messed up.
I messed up on that one. I missed out. Yeah. That was
Yep.
probably one of the most comical Valentine's days because we were like what is going on? And then I was like, dude, of all
It's
days, we
Valentine's Day.
literally came out on Valentine's Day. And we were like, oh no.
That's
Like, let's get the
hilarious.
pasta and run. Like, let's get
No, I would have really played it up. I would have 100%. Where's
oh,
my
that's
cake?
funny.
Where's my
Yeah, like
champagne?
I'm gonna need the rest of the things, folks.
Maybe we should do that this year. You need to come down and visit me, and we'll go hit all the restaurants and we'll get cake all night long, champagne all night long. That's what we should do.
I've said to a couple of my friends, hey, do we want to go like to a wedding place and have cake samples?
I never thought about that. You could have the wine tasting too.
Yep, like you try the whole catering, thing. Like, well, we were thinking about we've got this many people, we like this. We're gonna come in and sample, and then like hit like four of them in a day.
The gears are turning right now. The gears are turning. Wait a minute. What else could we do? Well, it has been
Oh
so much
goodness.
fun to have you on the show again. I
Oh,
love it.
thanks
This was
for
3 weeks in
having
a
me.
row. So we did good.
Yay!
That's so much fun. It's always so much fun when you come on and you
Oh,
just talk about the most interesting things and teach us about being a kitchen witch and things we can do at home. And that's kind of what, it's all about, really, is
oh
creating
yeah.
something that's, it doesn't have to be just romantic, but it just needs to be special, for the
And it
people
doesn't
that
have
you
to
care
cost you
about.
a ton of money.
It doesn't have to cost you a ton of money. Not at all. It's a good time of the year, like we discussed, to maybe make that sweetener that you want to use throughout the year.
Mhm.
That's to sweeten up a relationship of any kind, or just a cranky person that you happen to come across that you have to deal with. It's a good time of the year to do that. But it's such a good time of the year to appreciate those you really care about. And,
Yes.
especially your family and your friends. Of course, it's nice to have a loved one, but you don't have to have a loved one to celebrate it.
Right.
What would you like to close with? Is there anything you'd like to say to everybody?
Just make sure if before you try to love anybody else, love yourself, guys. That's what we need to do before we can really share that and share ourselves with others. We need to like really take that time and do our self-love and take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. We haven't done a product review in so long. I thought it would be fun if we had Phoenix do a product and I'm going to do a product, and it's all related to Valentine's Day. Phoenix, what do you have?
I have some cinnamon. So there's different types of cinnamon. We've got what they call true cinnamon and one they call false cinnamon. We generally use the quote unquote false cinnamon, but it's still all cinnamon. They're different grades. Like this, to show you a little bit of the difference, like the cinnamon that you normally pick up, say at like your craft shops and stuff that you can use. See how like thick it is, how thick that bark is. So that's why you can use these to make like little recipe booklets and use them, to tie the things up because they are that stronger. But when you get to the true cinnamon, it's very thin. You
Okay.
can see the difference on how
Mhm.
much thinner that is. So it's not as sturdy to do that kind of stuff with, but it all tastes the same. I think this one is a little sweeter to me on my flavor profile. And then we've got a local spice store here in Ohio called Penzies Spices. And they have, if you can get online, sign up for their email stuff. They've got great deals, but that's where I was turned on to like the Vietnamese cinnamon and the different kind of flavor profiles in there. I absolutely love the Vietnamese cinnamon, and it's a little bit stronger in its flavor profile, so you have to cut back a little bit. So if you were to use a teaspoon, you'd probably start off with half a teaspoon of this because it is so much stronger in flavor. But Penzies is great. They've got, like I said, good deals. Their stuff is always fresh, but it's Penzeys, Penzies Spices. And
And
they've
that's
got great
online.
products.
Okay, great. It's
Yes, you can
online.
find them
Okay.
online.
Is it
Yes.
expensive? Is there a huge cost difference
Um,
or anything like that?
their stuff is a little bit more expensive. I think just because of it being more of like a direct, you're going right there. And they, bottle everything up and do it themselves. But they have so many great sales. Like you can get stuff for super duper cheap. That's how I ended up getting like the cinnamon when I went because they had a nice sale for it. And I was like, ooh, well, I'm going to try one of these and I'm going to try one of these. But their bottles, they've got different, like I think they have 2, 4, and 8 ounce bottles. So you can get a little smaller bottle for a little bit on the cheaper side. But I think average, I probably paid maybe $5 for a bottle
Okay.
of when I, bought multiples, I probably maybe paid $5 for at the most for a couple of the things. But they're very helpful too. The ladies are very nice that run the place. First time I had gone, they're like, have you been here before? This is what we do, this is what we have. And it's a good spot to try out.
Great. And you mentioned that you don't use as much of the good cinnamon
Oh,
as I
yeah,
say
of
the good, it's
the
both good, but the
yeah,
true.
the Vietnamese cinnamon, which I discovered at Penzies, is stronger in flavor. And you do kind of want to watch with buying some of the different cinnamons because some of them have a little more essential oil in them than others. Some of them can taste a little spicier on the palate. Some can be a little more sweet because cinnamon, even though it's sweet, it's still spicy.
That's true.
Like it's kind of got its own. So you just want to, like, if it says a teaspoon and you're using a different type of cinnamon, start off with like half of it and then taste it because you can add more, but you can't take it out.
Okay. And your
It's easier to
recommendation
put
is the
more in.
Vietnamese, is that correct? The Vietnamese cinnamon?
Yes,
That's your okay,
yes.
great.
That's definitely great for desserts and sweet stuff like cinnamon rolls and that kind of stuff.
I
And
have
then,
some products, and I was talking about the Adam and Eve oil, the different
yes.
blends, and the essential oils. Well, essential oils can be really expensive. I mean, they go up to, $30 a bottle. I haven't seen them above that, but I'm sure it exists, and it's just unbelievable. It's hard to get a nice collection. So I
Hmm.
have a couple of essential oils and oil blends, and then I'm going to tell you the company to get them from. And I highly recommend this. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money on essential oils just to get a
Hmm.
good quality oil. Now,
Right.
granted, there are some brands you have to be careful for. You have to make sure are these true oils, that
Hmm.
kind of thing. But there's a couple. I'm going to first of all, this is Sun's Eye Fire of Passion, and it's my favorite out of anything. And it's probably $6 a bottle. It smells delicious. And you can put it in baths. You can put it in, make it a perfume, just rub it on you. Obviously, you need to dilute it. You need to put a carrier oil with it because with essential oils, you never put them directly on your skin. You always
Hmm.
put a carrier oil. But the next product is I was talking about the Adam and Eve oil. I get it from a little place called Church Goods Company. Okay. And it's in Glenview, I'm sorry, Glenview, Illinois. And little bottles. This one is Venus. I have Fire of Love and Adam and Eve. So you have your sorted oil blends, and then your essential oils. There's rose and passion flower. And these are only about $3, $4 at the most for each bottle.
Wow.
So when I go into a store and I see them, I just buy them all up. And there's a plethora of choices that you can get. So there's not one that's my absolute favorite, except for the Fire of Passion by Sun's Eye. That is my favorite. But as far as, oils and stuff, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. This company, Church Goods Company, is excellent and the quality is fantastic. And so I highly recommend their brand of oil. Like I said, you can put it in baths, you can wear it as perfume, you can put it in room sprays. And you know what? It doesn't have to be Valentine's Day to
No.
use Fire of Passion, Adam and Eve,
Mm.
Come to Me Lover oil. You don't have to do just on Valentine's, you can do it any time of year.
Oh, yes.
Well, those are our products for today that we're reviewing. And once again, Phoenix, thank you. And
Thank you.
blessed be. That concludes another episode of Everyday Witchcraft. I want to thank Phoenix and LeNoir for returning on the show, and I want to thank all of you for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Blessed be.